Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on Beetle's bag in honour of the current part 2 Beetlejuice movie. Get excited! Now I loved part 1 of the movie and I love part 2. So I have decided to create Beetlejuice's bag. We're calling it Beetle's bag specifically for him. If he wants it. But anyway, here we go. Moving right along, what you will need for your tutorial is lots and lots of yarn. We'll go through that in a minute. But you will need these gorgeous little handles or any closed handles with the measurement that I'm going to give you now. The measurement that you need is, just real quickly, and let's get a close-up. The actual handle itself, the width of the base of the handle is about 6 1/4 inches or 16 centimeters, right? But the part that you will be needing is just 12 centimeters or 4 3/4, nearly 5. We'll say 12 centimeters or 4 1/2 inches. That's pretty much all you will need because we are crocheting around the handles like, whoops, if I can get it, like that. All right, so you really only need about 12 centimeters of a handle that's closed or a handle that's got one of these there so that you can crochet around it like ours. And you will need 2 handles for this particular piece. Yeah, and you will need your measuring tape. Well, no, you won't need your measuring tape now. Once you've measured your handles, you've got the right handles, you don't really need the measuring tape. But what you will need is 2 skeins of your white, 2 skeins of your black, 2 skeins of your purple. I've run out of purple, yeah. Oh, I've got purple in a different skein. 2 skeins of your green, and let me tell you what yarn I used for the actual tutorial. I used an 8-ply, a DK weight or a 3-weight yarn in your country, all right? It has to be the 3-weight yarn. If you use the Aran weight, it's going to be a lot thicker and it's going to be a little difficult to count the stitches the way we've done, all right? So if you could use the 8-ply, the DK weight or the 3-weight cotton. Now you can use any other particular yarn you like, but cotton works best for bags. It's a lot stronger, yeah? And you are working with 2 threads at the same time, all right? So you will be working with 2 threads at the same time to give it that thickness, and we will be using a 5mm hook. How much yarn did I use? Well, I used very minimal of the white. I don't know, maybe 6 grams of the white, maybe 7, very minimal. It's a great stash busting project. I used very minimal of the black, exactly the same as the white, maybe an extra gram because it's got the 2 extra rows. I used absolutely nothing of the purple. No, I did. I used maybe a gram, 2 grams, whatever. The green I used a lot of, so heads up there, you'll probably need at least 40 to 50 grams worth, maybe that a little bit more. If you find that you don't have a lot of the green, just do an extra row of the purple and cut down the green, or 2 extra rows of the purple and cut down the green, or you could maybe do the border round in black. Now I did start the tutorial using different colours for you so that the black is not a problem for you to see. I started the tutorial using a light blue and the white. And then once that little tiny black and white square was complete and we did 1 border round, I actually changed to the original piece. So heads up. You will also need your scissors, obviously that 5mm hook that we said. Now I used 2 different sewing needles, one with a big eye because 2 threads needed to fit through there, and the other one, once I split the 2 threads during the weaving in process, I needed that one there. And I also used 8 to 9 stitch markers. You will need stitch markers for the corners of your piece. Don't remove those stitch markers until the very, very last row, and actually don't remove it then either because you will need it there to find the corners, all right? So that's pretty much all you will need to create Beetle's bag. Now Beetle's bag obviously is inspired by the beautiful movie Beetlejuice. I love Beetlejuice. I'm just like in love with it. It's hard to imagine me having a life without Beetlejuice now that I've seen both movies. So there you go. The bag has plenty of room, and in the tutorial you see me pop in a phone, a green ball of yarn. This one's black, doesn't matter. We popped in a few stitch markers. Let's pop in the next set of handles. So if you wanted to make another bag, you could. That might be too much now. That ball's in the way. Oh, hang on, there we go. And there you go. Do you want to make a second set? There's a second set of handles. All right, just exaggerating a little bit, guys. So there you go. That is your Beetlejuice bag. We're calling it Beetle's bag because, you know, I love the movie so much. But in the meantime, I don't want to hold you up because my tutorials, they go a long time. I'm going to let you head off making Beetle's bag in honor of the up-and-coming Halloween. Yay, I'm very excited. Thank you for joining us and good luck creating Beetle's bag. Alrighty guys, we are going to start with our black first, okay, and then we'll change to our white, and then we'll be carrying up our yarn. All right, so what we are creating is just this part of your bag first, but for the purpose of the tutorial, yours truly is going to use 2 skeins of the light blue and 2 skeins of the white. Now you need to use 2 skeins of the black and 2 skeins of the white. We are working with 2 skeins or 2 balls of yarn at the same time per colour. All right, and you'll see that in a minute. So let's get that out the way for now. And let's move that for now. And let's start with the blue. So what you want to do is grab 2 threads of the blue and hold them together like that. All right. Grabbing your tail end, wrapping it around your finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it down there. Pass your back loop halfway over your finger, hold it there. Pass the other loop all the way over, pop your hook in that loop, and you just formed a slip knot. Leave that tail to the side. You don't need it there for now. We'll work on that later. All right. So let's get a nice close up for you. All right. And all you're going to do is chain 18. And a chain is yarn over your hook, pull a loop through once. Being careful, you've got 2 threads at the same time, so you may accidentally split your yarn, hopefully not. And then yarn over 2, yarn over 3. Yeah. Yarn over the hook, pull a loop through 4, yarn over 5, yarn over 6. All right, so you need to do 18 stitches. All right, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 stitches, all right? But we are going to do an extra one because we actually need 18, and that first stitch on the hook doesn't count. So 19 chains. When you turn it and start working in these stitches, you'll end up with 18 single crochets, all right? And that's single crochet US, double crochet UK. And the single crochet is to pop your hook in through the top loop there. In actual fact, there's 2 loops, so we'll say top 2 loops, yeah? So you're popping your hook in the loop, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops, grab a stitch marker. Now this can be a little tricky because you've got 2 loops in front and 2 loops at the back. Usually it's 1 and 1, right? And altogether 2, but you've got 4 here. So you've got to pop your stitch marker under the first front 2 loops and the back 2 loops as well, making sure you use some sort of stitch marker in this tutorial. Because you're doubling your thread, you can split it when you need to do your single crochet at the end of the next row. So just make sure you pop a stitch marker, safety pin, hairpin, piece of thread, something between the 4 loops, yeah? All right, so single crochet 1, you're going to do single crochets all the way across. Single US, double UK, all right? Pop your hook under the 2 loops, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. And again in your next stitch, and so on, all the way across your piece. All right, so when you get to the end, you will have 18 stitches. All right, I'm going to pop this on fast, and I will meet you once we get to the end of the stitches, these stitches here, and you can actually slow your video down if you like, but I'm going to pop mine on fast and off we go. Alrighty guys, so here we are towards the end of the row. I have 2 stitches left and then the knot. Don't confuse the knot with the 3rd stitch, alright? So there's your second last stitch, do your single crochet, and there is your last stitch with your little knot sitting right on it. Alright, don't confuse that with a stitch. It's going to lift the loop for a minute, and I would like for you to count your stitches across. And what you're counting is these letter V looking things, starting with the one that your stitch marker is in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18. Alright, so pop your hook back in there, chain 1, and we're going to turn our work and work along the stitches that we just created. You can turn it that way or you can turn it the other way, whatever suits you. I just turn it like I'm turning the page in a book, entirely up to you if you want to go the other way. So now you're going to avoid the chain that we just created and pop your hook in that stitch there, and if you want to give it a stretch you can actually see it. Alright, so you pop your hook in the stitch with the 2 loops on top, or in actual fact it's 4 loops because we've got, you know, double thread, but we'll say 2. Pull your loop through like so, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. You've done another single crochet. Alright, the bonus, grab your stitch marker by the way and pop it in those top 4 loops, or 2 loops really if you think about it. The bonus about this pattern is that everything is in single crochet. You can't go wrong. Okay, so this is a stitch throughout the whole piece, even when we add the green and the purple and the round. Yeah, so very simple. In each stitch you come to, and if you can't find it, just give it a stretch and you will find it. All right, you pop your hook in the stitch. You should have the V look there. Pull your loop through like so, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops. Let's get a close up for you. Into the stitch, pull a loop through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and so on all the way across until you get to the end of this piece as well. But don't do the last stitch, just do all your single crochets across until you get to your second last stitch. Alright, so I'm going to pop this on fast for you, and you can slow your video down if you like, and off we go. Alrighty, we're nearing the end of our piece, and you can see that the second last V is there and the last V is the one with your stitch marker. Do the second last V like normal. Now, when we do this last stitch, we're going to actually change colours. So what I want you to do is to start your single crochet by popping your hook in the stitch where your stitch marker is. Just remove it. It'll be awkward for you otherwise. And then pull your loop through like normal where you've got your 2 loops on your hook. Yeah. So what I want you to do now is to just drop that thread. All right. Grab 2 threads of your white. All right, make sure you have 2 threads, yeah. I'm just going to bring this back up again. And what I want you to do is just pop that blue thread in your hand at the back. Grab your white, pop it over your hook. Let me turn the hook around. Hold it steady, and then just pull it through those 2 loops like that, yeah. And then what I want you to do is this. All right, so you've got your little tail, your white tail. Give it a bit of a tug. You want to give yourself a little bit of weaving in later. You'll need that. Pop all that, your blue and your tail of the white, just in your hand for a minute, because you don't want to leave this stitching here too tight and you don't want to leave it too loose either. So just make it neat. Then you chain 1, dropping all your threads as you've done that. turn your work like normal. Don't cut your blue because we're going to carry that up, all right? Or in your case, don't cut your black because we're going to carry that up, all right? So now we do a single crochet in that same space. It's going to be a little awkward because all your tails are hanging off it, all right? So just pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops, grab your stitch marker and pop it through. Try not to do the stitch too tight, but also don't do it too loose either. So you need to be able to get through all those threads, yeah? And then you're just single crocheting all the way across your piece once again, all right? Leaving your blue thread there. However, being wary that your threads do not tangle. Mine look like this because you're not going to see this one. After we do this part, it'll be totally different, yeah? So mine look like this right now. If I was to not be careful, this is what will happen. It will be tied up like that and you will get tangled. So after every second row, I want you to make sure that you have sorted out your threads. You either do it this way or you have to cut your threads every time and then weave in a million ends. I'm trying to save you from weaving in a million ends. Well, maybe not a million, but a lot of ends, all right? So we're going to continue our single crochet US, double crochet UK all the way across our piece. I'm going to pop this on fast until we get to the end and off we go. All right, second last stitch right there. Now we're on our last stitch. Into the stitch with your stitch marker. Now this is the side where there's no threads to carry up, which is a bonus. So just remove your stitch marker, chain 1 and turn your work and start again for this row. Single in your first, stitch marker in, very, very basic pattern, very basic. Single in your next and all the way across your piece. Let's pop this on fast once again until we get to the end of the row. Alrighty, I've been forgetting to tell you to check your stitch count. Make sure that at the end of each row you count your stitches across and you need to have 18 stitches in every row. That will never change, all right, until we start doing rounds in the other colours. But for now we're going to start the white, remove that stitch marker, pull the loop through, 2 loops on your hook, hold it there, drop your white and find your blue. Now this part here is a little tricky because you've got lots of tails in front. Grab that white and hold it in your hand at the back. Grab the blue and just pull it through like that. I'm going to show you again because that can be a little tricky, this first section. All right, just make sure that you're holding everything. Your tails for the white needs to be in front. Your working end of the white needs to be in your hand. And your blue, just holding everything down here, pop it over the hook and just pull it through those 2 loops. Don't pull too tight and don't leave it too loose either. It need to have sort of the same tension throughout your work, yeah? Chain 1, flip your work. Just move those tails out of the way for a minute. Go into that first stitch, single crochet. Now I did that really tight. Hopefully yours is not too tight. You don't want them too tight, but don't leave these too loose either, yeah? It's all about tension, yeah? Try to keep it the same all the way through. And then you've got your single crochet. Single crochets all the way across. Now once again, have a look at my piece. I want to show you. Look at it. There's my tail. That's my ends. You don't want that. So you want to make sure that you are not tangled like I am. I'm really tangled here, yeah? You want to make sure that you're not tangled. Otherwise, this is going to be a problem for you. But what I want you to do now is to just do, so you don't see all that mess, just do the 2 rows of the blue. Get to your second last stitch on the way back. So go all the way across here, chain 1, turn, single crochet all the way over to the second last stitch. Meet me there and we will talk about what we're going to do next. All right, you're going to head off on your own and do those 2 rows right now, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this row. Now what I asked you to do was to do 1 row of the blue, chain 1, turn, and continue your second row. Get to your last stitch right here. Pop your hook in, remove your stitch marker. Pull the loop through, hold it there, because we're going to change back to our white. Alright, so all you want to do is drop your blue, pick up your white and gently pull it through. You don't want to pull it real tight and you don't want to leave it loose either. Chain your 1, flip your work, single in that first space right there, or the first stitch if you will, and then pop your stitch marker back in there. Well, actually into the new stitch, I should say, not back in there, into the new stitch, and continue your row like normal. We're going to hold it there. However, what I want you to do is actually to head off on your own and do this piece. All right, making sure you are detangling as you go, making sure you always have 18 single crochets across. All right, but what I want you to do now is simply this. All right, what you've done, and I'll show you here with this one, and this is a lot thicker, this yarn, so don't judge it on this. All right, your 18 should look like that. Doesn't really matter for the size, okay, as long as your stitch count is correct. Yeah, so what you've done now is that, so you have done 2, 4, 6 rows. That's what you've done. You need to do another 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 rows. So you need to make 12 rows, changing your threads on one side in every second row, and just chaining 1 like normal on the first row. Okay, so your first row, this white that you come across here, will be chain 1, turn, single across. When you get here, you change to your black. All right, so far this is what you have. You have 1 set, 2 sets, 3 sets. All right, so if you wanted to count it, you have another 6 sets to go, or 12 rows. Okay, so what I want you to do, I don't want you to sit here and watch me do each set, because I think you know what you're doing. Do your 12 rows. You should end up with your last row being the black. All right, so starting from this row that we are doing now, that's your first row, then you'll do your second row, and third, fourth, fifth, all the way up to the 12th row. All right, so I want you now, easy. If you're not sure what you have done here, I will pop a time here in a minute that you can go back to. I can pop it there now and leave it there. And I want you to do your 12 rows on your own. Once you've done your 12 rows, meet me back here and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so where you will be is right here. Just ignore this piece. This is a practice piece and I don't want to waste yarn, all right? But where you should be is right here. You should have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 rows all together. And you should have 18 stitches across, or less because we haven't completed the last section. All right. Now with the last section, we're not carrying up anymore. We are going to cast off. Now casting off's a little tricky. Now let me show you what happened with my one, and I don't want that to happen to yours. If you look carefully at the black here, it's nice and neat, 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 but the very first part where the big knot right there is a little bit messy. I don't want that to happen with you. So we're going to use a different cast off than we usually do. All right. Now at this stage, you should have 2 threads here, 2 white threads. 2 white threads still attached. What you want to do is cut those 2 white threads so far. And then you have your black, in your case, blue in mine. All right. So what you want to do is get into your very last single crochet, and don't worry about my threads. This is just some old yarn I'm going to have to throw out afterwards because it's all peeling. But popping a single crochet in that last stitch, but don't complete it, all right? You are going to pop your hook in, pull a loop through, and have your 2 loops. You're going to pull your loop through like so, and you're not going to chain 1 and knot like we usually do. You're just going to pull up that loop and give it a cut there. So that stitch is actually unfinished. So pull it through. If I can now. Pull it through. The stitch is the stitch is complete, but normally we would make a knot, and there would be a really thick knot there because we are using 2 threads, and I don't want that for you. All right. So what I want you to do is to lay your work flat like that. So this is where you should be with your thread that's not done properly, right? It's kind of semi-done. And this is where we finished. This is the side that we finished on, all right? So what I want you to do, that's the side we finished on, yeah? Just flip your work, grab your different colour. So in my case, we'll just use the green so that you can actually still see it, and you'll know that's the colour you need to do. So once again, you need 2 threads of your green. So this is the actual colour you're using today, by the way, guys, the green. Not those 2, but black and white and the green. Mind you, you could have done your bag in any different colour you wanted to, but there you go. So what you're going to do now, in that stitch that's still not complete, you're going to pop your hook in the stitch, keeping your thread down. For now, just holding it with the hook, grab your new 2 threads of the new colour and just pull it through like so. Now this is going to loosen up. We're going to fix that up later, all right? So don't think that's going to stay that way. Just, pop your tail in front for a minute so that we can chain 1 and single crochet in the same stitch like so. All right, now that will loosen up, just tug it a little bit and we will tighten it at the end of this round. All right, keep that in mind. It's not going to stay like that. I want you to pop your stitch marker in the top of that green stitch we just did and single crochet a second one in the same space. Once again, that's going to probably stretch a little. Make sure you give it a gentle tug to close it up. Just grab those tails, pop it at the back now. This is now going to be classified as the front of your work, all right? Making sure you started where we cast off before, all right? Otherwise, and I'll show you quickly, this is where the front of the work is now, right? If you turn it over, you can see that kind of like a messy, jagged edge look, right? But on the other side, it's very neat looking. So this is going to be classified as the front of your work in this piece. All right, just grab that tail at the back and hide it for a minute. You can hold on to it, whatever suits you, and single crochet in every stitch across until you get to the corner. All right, the very first corner. And what I'm going to do is just pop this on fast and just get to the stitch before your stitch marker, and I'll meet you there in just a moment. Alright, so I've split the yarn here, but get to that last stitch for a minute. And in the stitch with your stitch marker, you pop 1 single crochet, a second single crochet, pop a stitch marker in there. Alright, and in the same stitch, you're going to pop a 3rd single crochet. So a 3rd one right there. All right, so you have popped 3 single crochets in that corner to make it a corner. So it's kind of like turned around, and now you're going to work along these stitches here, which can be a little tricky, but not completely difficult because we're not putting our hook in between little threads. We're actually putting our hook in every space you see. But what you want to do is make sure you've got 2 single crochets of green, 1 in each of your black rows, and then 2 here, 1 in each of your white rows, and so on. So let's put the second single crochet in for this colour. So you've got your first there and your second right next to it, there. Now you've got your white. You pop 1 in the first stitch and 1 in the second. I wouldn't go in the stitch, I'd go into the space, keeping everything kind of in sync, yeah. And again, 1 into your blue. I'm sorry, we'll try black for you. 1 into your second black, yeah. 1 into your first white, 1 into your second white, 1 into the blue. Actually, you continue doing that all the way across, all right? Continue doing that all the way across, but before you go, just a quick heads up to let you know that from corner to corner, you have that 1 stitch marker in each corner. In between those stitch markers, you should have 18 stitches across. So ignoring the corner, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And then you have your stitch markers in the 19th and the 20th stitch. All right, so just ignore those 2 stitch markers and count across and make sure you have 18 in between both of the stitch markers. All right, when you continue doing this row across, you can keep going while I'm talking. You will have exactly the same here. So let's say you've got to the end of your row. Hopefully you are there now. If not, just pause your video here and get to the end of your row where you've got your last 2 blacks, or in my case, blue. All right, so now that we're at the end of the row, what we're going to do in the first blue, you're going to pop a single crochet like normal. Now you've got all of this. This is a little tricky here. I still pop the single crochet there, and then I grab that knot and bring it down, doing a normal single crochet over the whole piece. All right, so making sure you do a second single crochet in that corner, pop your stitch marker in right there, and then you're doing your third single crochet. So you have crocheted over that knot. It's a little awkward, but you have crocheted over it, yeah? Then what you want to do is pop a single crochet in each of these stitches across. And before you do, make sure you count across from here to here. You should have 18 stitches across. Not me, because I didn't make mine big, all right, specifically for you guys, so you can see what you're doing. Single crochet in that very first stitch you come to. You're in there, you want to go into the very first stitch, and it's a little different because this is the base of our work, but make sure you are going in the space, the whole space. So that stitch you just did, it's going to be classified as 1 in this side. So 1, and your next one should go right there. There's a stitch right there, don't miss it. 2, 3, and you count your 18 all the way across until you get to the stitch marker here, which you probably don't have, but it's okay. Just get to the very second last stitch here, and I'll pop this on fast. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the second last stitch, and what I want you to do quickly now is to make sure you have 17 stitches now, because we're going to put the 18th here, right? So count it across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. All right, if you don't have 17 and you've got 1 left, then just check that you haven't missed a stitch, all right? So in that big space right there, you are popping 3 single crochets, but just first 1 and then a second one, hold it there, pop a stitch marker there. Really important in this round and the next 4 rounds that you keep stitch markers in your corner, all right? You need to pop a third one there. And then we have all of this, all right? This is tricky, okay? Now you are already in the first row of the blue. So you just want to go into the second row of the blue right there and do a single crochet. There's your tail. You can just pop it at the back, jump into as close to the white as you can get and do a single crochet. Go into the second white doing a single crochet. So your white is now filled up. Now you're going into your blue. We're going over those 2 lines there. So into the first stitch and then over the 2 lines. Make sure you're going over them because you want to cover the carry up that we did. Yeah. And then you go into the white. Again, you can pop that tail if you like. This is the end of your work. You need to go across your row. Go across your row, actually. Keep going, making sure that you have your stitch count correct. Like you should have 18 across there as well. All right. And you can just stop your video there and meet me back here in a moment. Terrific. And now what you want to do when you get to this tail right here, you want to do your single crochet, and it might pay to just grab that tail and pop it at the back, single in the first white, single in your second white. All right, so now we pop a single crochet in your first blue, and when you get to your second blue, you already have 2 in there, but you need to pop your third single crochet in there. So if you want, you can grab that blue tail, pop it in your hands at the back, and then just do your single crochet over it like so. Yeah. Count your stitches across now. Make sure you have your 18 across. You should have 18 from there until the stitch we just completed. Gorgeous. And then you slip stitch to join. Now, if you don't have your 18, make sure you did your 2 in each color. Yeah. So now we slip stitch to join like so. Pull a loop through like so. Pull it through to the loop on your hook. Chain 1. Remove that stitch marker, and in the same stitch you are going to place a single crochet and pop your stitch marker right here. All right, so from here we're going to just lift that thread up for a minute. We're going to work in it, but for now what I want you to do is flip your work. Now all these tails need to be weaved in, but remember that first tail that we had where it was here in this section right here. Oh no, it wasn't. It was over here. Where your work is. That very first tail, remember how loose it was? We want to make sure that is tightened up. So what you want to do is just separate the threads. Grab your sewing needle. You're going to sew your ends in. But what you're going to do is make sure that that is pulled nice and tugged. Both the threads are pulled nice and tugged, so that tightens up. You're going to grab one of the threads. Let's separate them for a minute. And go in one direction under your green, which anywhere you like, or you can go in here, right where that blue is there, or black. Let me get a close up because you probably can't see what I'm doing here. So this is one thread only, the other one's still sitting there. Just pop your needle through some of the threads here and just weave it through some of the threads. This is not a very good cotton. Make sure that you cannot see your needle from the front. Actually, I can see the needle right there. So I'm going to remove that. I'm not too worried about this piece because this is going to get thrown out. This is not for anything. It's just a practice piece. But make sure that you can't see your needle. All right. Really important. If you can see the needle, then that's going to show. Can't see the needle? Beautiful. Weave that through like that. Still ignoring the other thread. Give it a tug. Make sure it's nice and tight. Then if you want, you can pop in under some of the green. I would not do the green because you've got this green that needs to go under there. All right. So just pop your blue, or black, I should say, in your case. It'll be black. And just weave it through that way. Once you've gone down far enough, you could either pop your needle into the lower section and go across, or you could split a little bit of yarn here and then go back in the other direction, making sure you can't see your needle from the front. Yes, can't see it. And then just pull it through. Do it another time. I'm not going to because this is a practice one. And once you've done it 3 times, you can cut your piece. And what I want you to do with the next one is do the same thing, but I want you to bring it down to this row here and go in and out of this row. So what you've done is you've not only knotted it, but you separated and pulled it backwards in two different directions. There's no way that's coming undone. Even though it was loose before, that will not come undone once it goes the other direction. All right. So your job now is to weave in these ends, all of them. Yep. That one goes that way. These two go in there. These two go there. And so on. Just weave in all your tails. Weave them all in. And I'm not even in frame. Weave your tails in there. Weave your tails in there. Separating them like I did. Don't do that green one yet. Leave that till last. Only because we haven't done enough rows for that yet. So just do that. Weave in these extra tails that you have. Your whites and your blacks. Weave them all in before you continue. Meet me back here once you're done. And we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, now with your tails all weaved in, go back to your piece. Now I didn't weave in the two greens yet, we're going to do that later. And in fact, you can do that later on your own. You probably don't need me to do that part. What you want to do is continue on with your piece. Alright, so what I want you to do now is, you've done your first single crochet and then you've popped your stitch marker in. Let's get a nice close-up. Yeah. So we've only done one so far. We need to do a second one. So pop a second one in that corner. And then you're going to put single crochets across. Being careful not to skip that first one now. It's a bit tight there, but make sure you get into there. That's one. And you're going to single crochet in every stitch all the way across. That will give you, at the end of this section here, 20 stitches. And not 18, all right? So I'm going to pop this on fast and I want you to single crochet until you get to the corner, that stitch marker, and off we go. Alrighty guys, I'm at the stitch marker. I've got one more stitch to go, all right? So I'm going to pop a stitch in that stitch, but when we get to this stitch marker, we're going to pop a single crochet in there, like so. Then a second one into the stitch with your stitch marker, that is. Do your second one, remove that stitch marker, replace it in the second one. Really important to do this because you need to find the center. If in the next round you come around and you miss that center and you assume the center's down here, your work is going to be crooked and your corners will move. You don't want that. But in the same space, you are putting your third single crochet. And then once again, you're single crocheting all the way across. Count these stitches. You should have from this stitch marker to this stitch marker here, from there to there, you should have 20 stitches and then your stitch marker stitches. So 22. All right. So 20 there. Count them now and make sure you've got 20. And we'll continue on. All right, so let's continue. Your job now is to single crochet again into every stitch. Make sure you don't miss your first stitch. It's a lot better over here. The first stitch is just a little bit awkward on that very first stitch because it's the beginning stitch, so it gets a little awkward, but the rest should be visible. So let's single crochet all the way across, get to the end of the row, and I'll meet you there in just a moment. So once you get to the end of the row, this kind of might look a little loose. That's okay. Just single crochet in it like normal. Single into the stitch marker 1, or stitch marker stitch, 2, remove your stitch marker and replace it. And then you put your 3 or your third one in there. And then single across. Once again, making sure you have 20 stitches from there to there. All right, so I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do this. I'm going to let you head off on your own. Now, your piece should start to look like this. You're on your second round of the green. I'm just assuming that's not there. You're about there. All right, so your piece should look like that. When we return, I will be on my second one, so we will be able to work on the original piece and no longer on this small bit. All right, so head off on your own. When you get to your first corner, you're going to do the same corner as we did here and here. So you do it exactly the same with your 3 single crochets, popping your stitch marker in your second one, and then get to this stitch down here. This area can be a little tricky with the slip stitch, so don't join, just get there and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, go all the way around, meet me to this first stitch marker and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of our piece. Make sure that you have 20 single crochets in between each stitch marker on each side, except your last side because we're still working on that one. I still have the green tails attached. I've weaved in all my other ends. All right, we're going to work on those tails later. I'm not worried about them now. So what we want to do, you have your single crochet right there. That's your second last stitch. And your last stitch is the 2 single crochets that you did in the beginning of the round. We're going to do a normal single crochet in there, pulling our loop through like so. Hold it there. You're going to drop your green. You're not going to cut it. You're just going to drop it and you're going to grab your purple. You need 2 threads of your purple. You are now doing this round here. All right. So you're not going to be cutting anything. You're just going to grab your purple, pull that loop through like normal, as though you're pulling your whites and your blacks through like you were doing before. Make sure you've got yourself a long tail of purple. Grab the green at the back and your tail and just hold it at the back for a moment. And then you slip stitch to join like normal. Pull your loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. That green thread later, let's ignore the purple for now. We're going to bring that green thread up later and use it to do the next round. But in the meantime, we are going to chain 1. Just tighten the purple so you don't see the slip stitch too much, yeah. Single crochet into the same stitch that you are in, like so. Just take that stitch marker out and replace it. Pop your second single crochet in there, like so. Now looking carefully, you have a single crochet tucked in there. You need to do 1 single crochet into it, like so. And then your single crochets all the way across until you get to that corner right there, the first one. And what I might do is pop this on fast, leaving your green thread attached. Don't cut it, yeah? All right, so let's pop this on fast, single crochet in every stitch across, and I'll meet you at the corner once you're done. All right, we are right near that corner. Just popped my second last single crochet there, and that's the corner stitch. So in that stitch, we're going to pop a single crochet, 1, single crochet, 2, remove your stitch marker and replace it into this second single crochet, and then do your third single crochet, and then single into the very next stitch. Don't miss it, yeah? And so on. Now before you continue, I want you to count your stitches across this way. In the previous round you had 20. You should have 22 in this round, all right? So let's go ahead and count. And you're counting from the next stitch, not your stitch marker stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. And then you've got your 2 stitch markers each end. All right, so then what you're going to do is continue exactly the same way we did that previous row. You are going to continue along your stitches and then do your corners as usual. Now, I think you can do this on your own because you've done 1 round already. So what you need to do is single crochet all the way across, get to your stitch marker. You put 3 single crochets in there, replace the stitch marker on your second single crochet, and then single crochet all the way across, do your corner, all the way across, get to your very second last stitch there, and then you're going to meet me there before you complete the final purple stitch, because we're going to reattach the green. All right, so just do the same round you did with the green with the purple. Meet me right there and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this round. Now, being careful not to miss any stitches. By the way, you should have 22 stitches from stitch marker to stitch marker on each side, except this side because we haven't completed it yet, which we will. Your very last stitch is the green. Now you can see that little slip stitch when you've got the purple there, but your very last stitch is the green, like so. And then you want to put one more stitch in that corner space because there's only 2 there from the beginning of the round. So start your single crochet, hold it there, drop your purple, grab your green, or re-grab your green if you want to call it that way. So pull up your green, pull it through like so, slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker, pull the loop through, pull it through to the loop on your hook, remove your stitch marker for a moment, chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch that you are in, replace it, yes, and pop a second single crochet in there, and then single crochet in your first stitch. Remember not to skip that stitch, and then all the way across. All right, before you go across, I want you to make sure that your count is correct across here. Let me do that again. Across here, you need 22 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So you need 22 stitches across there. Yep, easy. And now we're doing the green. Before we continue the green, flip it over and cut the purple. We no longer need the purple. It was only there for the one round. All right, now you're going to weave that end in later, but let's just move the purple right out of the way so it doesn't tangle everything. And now you're only working with your 2 greens. All right, so it's 1 green if you think about it, but it's 2 skeins of green. We're working with 2 skeins at the same time. All right, now I don't think I need to show you this part. What I want you to do, in fact, I will let you head off on your own and do this part. I want you to do 2 rounds of your green. So the first round goes all the way around. You do your 3 single crochets, pop your stitch marker in your second one, and so on until you get to the end. Then you do a second round. So you need 2 rounds of your green. Once you complete your 2 rounds of your green, meet me back here and we will talk about what we're going to do next. All right, complete your 2 rounds of your green and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of our 2 rounds. Now I forgot to mention, and I left a little disclaimer there for you, that after the first round you would have 24 stitches in between your stitch markers, yeah? And then you would have 26 in between this last round, all right? Including the 2 here, so really 28 there, 28. But in between the stitch markers, you should have 26 stitches, yeah? It kind of matters when you are putting your 2 pieces together. I need to pop my 26th stitch in there, but we're not going to complete this stitch. We're going to do what we did with our black down here. So pop your single crochet or start your single crochet like so. You've got your 2 loops, yeah? Yarn over your hook and just pull it through those loops like so. And then you are going to cut your work, and we're going to use that fancy sewing to get it over here, all right, without affecting our stitch marker. Be wary of that, all right? So let's grab a needle so that we can do our fancy sewing, and you're wondering what is she talking about. So what you do is you grab a really thick needle with a thick eye. Hopefully you've got one, because you need to fit your 2 threads through the eye like that. All right. And now you're going to do something a little different. We are going to skip our single crochet here. We're going to pop our sewing needle into the front of that stitch there, the second one. All right, let's just pull that little thread through. Well, I'm just keeping the loop here so you can see your stitch marker just for a second. And actually we'll remove it, but you need to replace it in there in a minute. So just remove it for now. Hopefully you don't lose it. Yeah. And you want to place your needle down into the first, through the back of that first stitch you worked with, and then just down the back loops of the stitch there, or a back loop right there of that stitch. Pull the loop through like so, and what you have is that, without pulling your loop, which I haven't done properly. Oh, there we go. Straighten it up. Now for me, I get a little paranoid that that's going to fold, so I actually do it again, and what I do is I pop it in the actual corner stitch through the back like so. A lot of people don't do this. They just bring it to the back and start weaving in. You can do that if you want, but I'm very pedantic. I don't like my work coming undone, so I'm going to pop it through the back of that stitch, the corner stitch, which in this instance you can pop your stitch marker in now because you know where that corner stitch is as best you can. It may not even work because it's really tight there, but there you go. So grab your sewing needle, yep, pop it into the whole stitch of that first stitch that you started with, and then you can flip your work. I'm going to change needle here. You can start weaving your thread in. Now what am I doing? I'm separating my threads once again. I'm going to give this a cut because it's a little bit fray, and this needle's got a smaller eye. So rethread your needle. If you use a thicker needle, it's going to be hard to weave in because it's really thick. So use a thinner needle and just find some spaces where you can split this thread. That one goes that way and this one goes this way. All right, so you're going to find some stitches where you can pass it through, and I just go down the back of the stitch just before it, pull it down like so, and bang, it's gone. You can't see a knot, no knot at all. It's great, this particular one. It doesn't always look good with thinner stitches. Keep going down your stitching, making sure you can't see the needle from the front. Doesn't always look good, but with this particular piece, it comes up real pretty. So I'm going to continue to use it, and I'm going to weave in and out of different areas. As you can see, I just came around here, and I'm going to go back, just popping my needle in different stitches. That looks like it went through a little thick, so I'm going to check the front. Can't see the needle? No? Good, good. Even better if it's thicker, because then that thread will not come out. You don't have to do it this many times. I'm going to do it one more time because I'm very pedantic with my ends. I don't like weaving in ends like anybody else, but I'm very, very pedantic about them. So there you go. All right, so that's that one done. And you're going to do the same for this one, except try and pop it in a different area of your work and not down where we went just now. I'm not going to show you how to do this. You know now. You just weave it through, weave it down into some stitches under there. There we go, under there, and go backward and forward under some of these stitches. Don't fuss too much now, because once you've separated it, that's kind of like, sounds weird, but it's kind of knotted it, all right? So you still need to weave it in like normal, okay? And what I want you to do is the same with these tails. And the reason I'm giving you these instructions is because this tutorial is going for a very long time, and that's the end of part 1. Alrighty guys, you have completed part 1 of Beetle's bag. Get excited guys. Part 1 was making the first square. You have to now head off on your own and repeat the process for part 2. Simple, simple, easy, easy. But what I do want you to do, make sure you keep your stitch markers in each corner so that when we return on Thursday, we know how to marry everything up. All right, so everything matches. Make sure you focus on your count to keep your bag nice and straight. On Thursday, you will actually need your handles because we are going to complete the bag. Get excited, guys, get excited. All right, in the meantime, don't forget to join us on our lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons, 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time. Make sure you weave in all your ends. Do the second side, weave in those ends. Meet me back here Thursday, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Thank you for joining us here at Wow Crochet Designs. My name is Mary, and ciao for now.